The cafeteria aboard the Concordia station buzzed with the usual mixture of languages, clicks, whistles, and harmonics that made up intergalactic communication. Mino Chen sat at her usual corner table, methodically working through her salad while reviewing star charts on her tablet. As the station's lead xenobiologist, she'd grown accustomed to the stares and whispered comments about human dietary habits. "Look at the plant eater," chittered Zexthor, a mantis-like Kalari whose compound eyes glittered with amusement. "So primitive. So herbivorous." His tablemates, a collection of crystalline Vorthak and gaseous Nethrim contained in environmental suits, rippled with what passed for laughter among their species. Mino had heard variations of this conversation dozens of times since arriving at the station 6 months ago. To most galactic species, humans were an oddity, supposedly intelligent beings who consumed vegetation like common prey animals. "I heard they actually cultivate plants," wheezed Gorth 555, a Nethrim whose suit flickered purple with disdain. "Imagine an apex species tending gardens like some sort of symbiotic fungus." Mino stabbed a cherry tomato with perhaps more force than necessary. The mockery had become tiresome, but she'd learned that defending human omnivory only led to more ridicule. Better to let them think humans were harmless vegetarians. It made negotiations easier when other species underestimated Earth's representatives. The cafeteria doors hissed open, and David Morrison stepped through, his engineering uniform still bearing scorch marks from whatever crisis had kept him in the reactor core all morning. His dark hair was disheveled, and his usually calm brown eyes held the slightly manic gleam of someone running on caffeine and determination. Mino waved him over, grateful for the company. David had been her closest friend since their academy days, and his dry humor was exactly what she needed after enduring another round of dietary discrimination. "Rough morning?" she asked as David collapsed into the chair across from her. "Rough doesn't begin to cover it," he muttered, pulling out his lunch container. "The Kalari engineering team keeps questioning every modification I suggest. Apparently, humans are too gentle to understand proper mechanical force applications." From the neighboring table, ZX Thor's antenna twitched with interest. "More plant eaters," he announced to his companions. "Watch this one consume his leaf matter with the same pathetic delicacy as his mate." David's jaw tightened. Mino had seen that expression before, usually right before her friend did something spectacularly inadvisable. She started to reach across the table in warning, but David was already opening his lunch container. The cafeteria fell silent. Inside the container, nestled next to some crackers and a thermos of coffee, lay a thick slab of deep red meat, not cooked meat, not processed protein substitute, raw, bloody liver that glistened under the cafeteria's artificial lighting. David picked up the liver with his bare hands, brought it to his mouth, and took a large bite. The sound of tearing flesh echoed through the suddenly quiet space. Crimson juice ran down his chin as he chewed thoughtfully, his eyes never leaving Zexthor's horrified compound gaze. David said conversationally, swallowing. "Earth cow liver, full of iron and vitamins." He took another bite, larger this time. "My grandmother's recipe called for cooking it, but I've always preferred the texture when it's fresh." A Vorthak at the neighboring table made a sound like crystal wind chimes in a hurricane. 3 Nethrim quickly vacated their environmental suits, their gaseous forms fleeing through the air recycling vents. ZX Thor's mandibles clicked frantically. But you're herbivores, plant eaters. Your species lacks the proper digestive enzymes for..." "For what?" Mino interrupted sweetly, pulling out her own lunch container. Inside sat a sandwich filled with multiple types of meat, a hard-boiled egg, and what appeared to be some kind of fermented fish. "Oh, you mean for processing animal proteins? Funny thing about humans, Zexthor, we're omnivores." She bit into her sandwich with deliberate satisfaction. "We eat everything, plants, animals, fungi, bacteria cultures. We've been apex predators for millennia, hunting megafauna to extinction on our home planet before we learned better." David finished his liver and reached for his crackers, spreading what looked like pale pink paste across them. "This is made From pureed fish organs, he explained helpfully to the increasingly disturbed alien audience. Humans consider it a delicacy. But the salads, Ziexthor whispered, his natural green coloration fading to a sickly yellow. The vegetables. We like variety, Mino said. Predators need complex nutrition. Did you know humans can survive on almost any organic matter? We've got records of our ancestors eating bark during famines, drinking fermented mare's milk, consuming insects, raw fish, even— She paused for dramatic effect. Each other, when necessity demanded it. The exodus from the cafeteria was swift and silent. Within minutes, only David and Mino remained, surrounded by abandoned meals and the lingering scent of fear pheromones. David wiped his chin with a napkin and grinned. Think that'll solve your negotiation problems? Mino laughed, returning to her salad. I suspect the next trade agreement will go much more smoothly, though you realize you'll have to eat raw liver for lunch every day now, right? Reputation to maintain and all that. David's face fell. Worth it, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. From across the cafeteria, a lone janitor drone approached their table. Its mechanical voice carried what might have been approval. Dietary intimidation tactics, effective. Human psychological warfare, noted for security files. Mino and David exchanged glances. Perhaps their reputation for being harmless plant eaters had been more limiting than they'd realized. In a galaxy full of specialists, pure carnivores, energy feeders, mineral consumers, maybe it was time the other species remembered what made humans truly dangerous. They were adaptable. They were omnivores. And most importantly, they were utterly, completely unpredictable. The liver might have been David's grandmother's recipe, but the psychological warfare, that was pure human innovation.